Tonight is a 0.25% rate cut by the RBI, an indicator of better times ahead. And to talk about it, we have in our studio Ashok Kumar Bhattacharya, editor of Business Standard. Welcome to the show. AKB, what do you make of this rate cut? Do you think it's come at the right time? And the banks, if they have their own best interest in mind, should pass this on to the people?
First thing, you must take note of the fact that this is the first decision under the Monetary Policy Committee regime. And the decision to cut the repo rate, we believe it is unanimous. So there is a clear unanimity.
This is also the first cut after the government fixed that targeted inflation rate.
Absolutely. So therefore, what you have to recognize is that all the 6 members are clearly batting for growth. You might say that they are taking a calculated risk, but they clearly...
Why do you say that?
Because inflation risks are still there. They themselves say that is the 5% inflation risk that is there. And you
because
have
demand is likely to pick up.
Demand is likely to pick up, and you have the pay commission money coming to the market. So
agricultural income will also go up.
So therefore, there are risks, and of course, the global situation is not very, very favorable with the US Fed. It may come up with interest rate hikes. The money may flow out. There is a FCNRB pressure of pullout of $26 billion. So
this is the basket of apprehensions. What are the positives?
The positive is that there is the inflation should remain benign because we had seen a good monsoon. Pulses prices are already coming down. Food prices are going southwards.
And the government has tried to bring down
the
pulse prices.
And the government on its own has cut savings rate interest. Now, if the government is sending out a signal that they are bringing down their savings rates, so therefore it does have an impact on the banking sector's behavior towards their lending rate. Now, if they believe that there is demand and then there is no pressure on them to take care of their problematic assets position, because the banks are still very much stressed. And on the positive side, the RBI governor has indicated that he's going to review and probably relax some of the norms that govern the stress asset management. So if that happens, probably the banking sector will be heaving a sigh of relief and probably go out and lend a little more money.
What kind of relaxation could there be as far as the NPAs are concerned?
Well,
because
recognition norms,
there's been this speculation that a bad bank might be created.
Well, the recognition norms, what the RBI governor has indicated is that the recognition norms may be up for a review. Now, those norms had been tightened considerably.
Recognition of
NPAs, absolutely. Now, if there is a sustainable portion of the debt, and then is unsustainable portion of the debt, so the banks were allowed to separate the sustainable portion of the debt from the unsustainable portion of the debt. So the total burden of the NPAs comes down.
Reduces.
Now this is further being reviewed. So you can expect banks to have some benefit from there. So if they have that benefit, probably they will be a little more proactive in going out in the market and lend money. Right now, banks are a little wary of lending money. So if you don't lend money, whether the repo rate comes down or goes up, frankly speaking, banks are not going to transmit that rate cut. So it requires that kind of environmental change. And I think this policy is trying to bring about a change in the environment of sorts where RBI truly means that it has an accommodative stance, and it believes that even though there are inflation risks, it wants to bat for growth for the present and see how the banks and the macroeconomy responds to these policy signals.
How do you expect growth to be encouraged with this one single measure? Because it has to have its own concomitants.
Cutting repo rate alone cannot, revive growth. It is not a kind of magical act that it can bring about growth through this.
It's not like a booster dose.
Absolutely. So I think to assure growth, you have to create an environment that is conducive to it, and certainly cutting interest rate is one of the major instruments for that. Along with that, you need to make sure that the banks have the resources to lend. Now, which is why the RBI has said that I'm going to relax the norms of asset recognition norms. So that is the second factor. Then there are policy apparatus in the government's command. Government has already spent a lot of money in investment in capital asset creation. We understand in the first 5 months, the government has actually spent 50,000 crore more in capital expenditure than it was in the last year.
Okay.
So there's more money is in the system to create assets. Hopefully, over a period of time, those assets will result in higher growth. So you
and this
take
rate cut
everything
will also
together.
help the private sector?
It will. It will, certainly. Where it will not help is a large number of old people who only earnings, only things from savings. So you can expect that the savings rate in the banks will also come down if the banks indeed,
naturally,
they've
already reduced FD
savings
rates to a large extent.
Absolutely.
And not
so borrowers will gain, but those who are savers, I think they will have to take a little bit of hit.
And that is another aspect of this entire scenario. But for the moment, for the economy, do you feel that this is the kind of move that was required at this stage, and it will be panning out in terms of a positive uptick as far as our growth prospects are concerned? Because right now, for this year, it's 7.6. The next year, it's been revised to 7.9. The government is even more positive than the RBI's assessment. It says we can cross 8%.
Well, if, it is a calculated risk, as I said, but it is worth taking because you have another policy review coming up in December.
Yeah.
If things go wrong, you can always make a course correction.
Yeah, of course, that danger is that the Fed might increase rates, and then that might be a different story.
And this is the start of the festival season, so it also changes the mindset, the mood. So who knows? Animal spirits may be released.
Okay, let's hope so. Thanks a lot for joining us in the studio tonight. And